Okay, adjust the aspect ratio. I don't want to buy Titanic on that 4K. You know, it'd be just a waste of time. That will suffice. Okay. More on the controversy of the front wide. Okay, when the front wide is used with other matrix decoders, what presently being used is DTS Neural X. It doesn't include one of the channels on here. It's which is indicate because everything's pretty active up there at the moment with, you know, and probably some matrix decoding going on in between all the other channels, and some channels being kind of copied. So these two channels here, I think they're what are they? They're one of the extra rear back or something in between surround speakers. I think they're channels 10 and yeah, they're these channels down here. Channels 9 and 10, I think. No, it's not those channels. Might be these ones here. Left number 1, left number 2. Let's turn those on and off. Yeah, it's these ones down there. Yeah, it's these ones down there. Left surround number 2, right surround number 2. They're sort of placed somewhere around the back of the wall somewhere. I forget where. But just turn the fader up a bit. Just going through everything, turning everything off. Except for the front wides, I'm leaving them on. But they're active. There one over there, like I say, there's one over there, and the other one over there. So they're active. So I was thinking, you know, this annoying pumping effect with Dolby Atmos that you usually get, because it sounds like the mixers are just pumping up the, moving up the fader, you know. You know, that's a typical fader slider, and it's all that, you know, and it sounds like they're just moving it up and down like this bloody sort of thing. God, yeah, it's so bloody annoying. And that is not an achievement in bloody sound mixing. I even consider now the movie, which I thought was probably the best movie, probably Dolby Atmos ever mixed, Gravity. I now consider that to be an absolute bloody distracting movie with that bloody, because the front wide is so distracting compared to the all the other channels that are playing. And it's not just level, it's frequency, it's sound, it's frequency. And if you were to, you know, try and get a blend, which is very difficult. Oh dear. To me, it almost didn't give me a headache. It was just giving me anxiety. It was just giving me stress and depression and anxiety, thinking, this is the most depressing bloody channel on an Atmos that I've ever bloody heard. Oh. Yeah, now the Titanic's, the music, the James Horner. And, you know, these channels are fairly active. what I was thinking, what I'm trying to propose is my idea. Whether or not it's doing the same thing as what I wanted to do. Oh gosh, probably over 10 years ago, because I was noticing phantom sound images between left surround, left front, right surround, right front, and there's a phantom sound there in the mixing, but it's floating between, you know, so you kind of lean forward and you think, is it that speaker or is it that one? Is it this one or this one? And then it's like the same thing. You know, you got like I say earlier, you got three guys listening, and you got two speakers, and one in the middle says the sound's coming, it's coming from there, but the person over this side and the other person on the opposite side, they say no, it's there, no, it's there. Then you get into a dispute and then an argument, and then you have a center channel placed, a third speaker placed in called a center speaker, and then it's mixed discreetly, and you know, or if it's done matrixly, it removes that center. It removes that phantom image and places, because the phantom image, I think, is, in mixing terms, I think it is a waste of bloody effort, a waste of electrical bloody power, just to place the same bloody signal there and there. Basically it's mono. Or you can, in mixing, it's stereo, and you have a center, and then you have a mono signal or a phantom, and it's placed between, and then you can pan it or whatever if you want to pan it. But oh dear, it's the same with some movies that have mixes, and then they got I can just think of some movies where the music or the vocals go onto the left and right channel, rather than having the vocals isolated and have it centered, and then you hear all the nuances, you hear all the textured details in the vocals, against the competition of the music. And you know, you might think, oh, I'll just turn down this music level a little bit on the left and right, because it's just the vocals, with occasional now and then maybe a little bass drum kick or whatever other musical instrument that's discrete. You know, it's just mixing. You know, it's not how you would hear things in the real world. It would be completely the opposite to all that. It's just a stylistic sort of thing for audio entertainment, I would say. Okay, let me go back to you know, what I think I should try is put a decoder between the front and the side surround. But which speaker do I use on the Atmos, because it does a pan through sort of thing, you know, and it's going to be like, which channel to use, which channel's going to be the most I think it would probably be the middle one over there, which is over here, which is often mostly used, and the other one's up there, and then the one a little bit further down towards the side wall of the back, on the side wall near to the back. I know how they're used, so I'd probably pick and then place a decoder between, and then, well, it's getting another JBL 8330 Mark II, fitting it somewhere or whatever, and then just wire it all up, and then bam, I should have a channel that works pretty much the whole running time of the movie or any music or whatever, but it will run fully active, and it would just be looking for anything. There'll be a little bit of difference of the left and right, the front up there and the back, the surrounder there, but it also again depends, also depends on, because the channels are discrete up at the front and on the sides, yeah, because it's not like say like a typical, say, front left and right, or front left center right center, you put a decoder between that because it's a stereo signal, or one of the overheads, and you get a stereo signal, and I place a decoder there, and bam, I've got a new channel, new speaker placed in position, so I can pinpoint, it's there, or it's over there. You know, I can pinpoint its position rather than listening to a center phantom signal. So I'll probably do that, maybe, because it is a bit of a big deal to set up, because firstly I need the speaker, and if I haven't got a speaker there's no way I'm bothering going to do it. I was gonna do it over 10 or so more years or so ago, but I think it's where someone was reading my topic on a forum, and they copied, basically they pinched my idea. They didn't give me any credit, they pinched it, and then they use it for, I don't know, what was it, Odyssey front wide, or was it Dolby PL2Z front wide, or did they do, I can't remember which. But it was like, it seemed so suspicious that like about a year or so, 2 years later or such, bam, I'm reading about something like front wide, and I'm thinking, is that my bloody idea that buggers are... Because think about it, the Hollywood movie industry are completely out of bloody ideas, and they're like looking at all these TV shows or other movies, or reading books, or comics, or whatever, or just reading around the internet, just trying to get ideas, because they're completely out themselves. Oh, but what they do, they just bloody remake bloody movies that we just don't care about anymore. We'd rather just see that old movie shown again at the cinema. You know, that's if it's going to float the studio's boat. Like, oh, we should care about that movie, and it only plays, and guess what? It only plays for probably one night at some lousy multiplex. Otherwise, we do it ourselves all the time. We think, oh, we'll play an old movie, or we'll play something new. It's the same thing as cinemas today. Yeah, so I'll probably try that, and I'll be able to make it fully work, but as well as still allowing this whatever pumping noise, annoying effect to still come in, because I could do quite a few plugins and still allow something to, you know, but I'll be able to keep that channel bloody utilised. Because I think, what's the point of it just being idle and doing nothing? There's no logic to that. There's no logic. You know, people say, especially people that brag how much they invest in, they say, oh, I invested in all these Atmos speakers. They're not Atmos speakers, they're a speaker, okay? Just because it says Dolby Atmos speaker on the side of the box doesn't mean it's an Atmos speaker, for Christ's sake. Yeah, that is just a marketing scam. Okay, snake oil, if that rings a bell. It's just a load of BS, and you've fallen for it, and you keep calling an Atmos. Oh, my Atmos speakers. I don't refer to my speakers as Atmos speakers, I refer to them as overheads, or my JBLs down there on the floor below surround. You know, you got SVS and they call them Atmos speakers, oh god, or Calypse, god, they call them Atmos speakers, and then you got JBL, they call them Atmos speakers. Oh dear, and say the angle's got to be this, it's got to be this specific angle to get the immersiveness. That is complete utter BS. And I can't believe a lot of you out there have fallen for that. God almighty, that's like the biggest con scam, and it's been going around, what, for about 11 years, and you, oh dear. Talk about brainwashing. I bet Dolby Labs are laughing their asses off. Because even if they call them, oh, the Atmos speakers, that's bullshit. They're not Atmos speakers. Atmos is Atmos is a mixing, encoding, decoding process delivery sound format. That is all it is. You don't hear anyone saying auro speaker. Oh, I got my auro speakers installed. Oh, I got my DTS-X speakers installed. I've not seen one single video on YouTube that says that. It's always my Atmos speakers. Because you're reading it on the side of the box and you're falling for the scam. Shame on the manufacturers for doing that, to tricking you. Shame on the it's not your fault, okay? It's shame on the manufacturer. Shame on Dolby Labs and shame on the manufacturer. They are just nothing more than a speaker. It's like what I say. A speaker is a speaker. It's the crossover that makes the speaker. Oh yeah, but Dolby Labs have got this stupid, diabolical, ridiculous crossover filter thing, passive, on one of those stupid speakers that's got the most bizarre frequency response, and you think, what the what's going on with that? You know, that's like me doing that's like me putting a bandpass filter in and then just cutting the frequency down with a little bit of Q bandwidth, and then just cutting the frequency down at a specific, what is it? They do it at 6 or 7 kilohertz, and then just cut it right down, so you don't really hear that frequency as much. What the bloody hell's going on with that? Oh dear, a lot of scanning going on today, and it shouldn't be tolerated. You shouldn't tolerate all this bullshit. It shouldn't be allowed. Yeah, so anyway, let's just go back to turn up the fader. Mind you, I've got the levels. I think on the what's powering them is a crown amplifier, I think. I'll adjust their levels a little bit up, a little bit. So they're not just soft, but also, like I say, the levels that I notice on when it's playing Dolby Atmos, those front channels, those front wide channels, whatever, front wides, the levels are often too low compared to all the rest of the levels, and I'm readjusting the other levels so they're a little bit lower down. Oh, it's a pain in the eye. It is. Oh, I tell you, most people wouldn't be able to see it on any receiver, because all you got is a receiver like a Denon. And you got no levels to look at unless you fit unless you get some VU meters. Mind you, they'll probably be a little bit expensive, because there are some very basic ones that you can buy, but they're a bit of a gimmick. They've got a bit of a flaw. I think it might be a capacitor issue, because they just look like fairy lights that just light up. So you've got green, amber and red. I bought them myself and I tested them, but they were cheap. But someone else bought them as well, and he thought they were pretty good, but I said, no, there's something not right about the way those VU meters move, because they don't move in the same exact way as proper ones do, say like on the Sony, or even on the Storm Audio, or maybe the CP 750, or even, for that matter, even on the DCX, you know. So you've got level meters that move, you know. Look at the aggressiveness on this Titanic. Look how dynamic it is, even for a near field. Well, maybe it's not, or maybe it is, I don't know. You know, they don't put a label on the damn thing that says that this is a theatrical mix, you know. It's not been tampered with. Yeah, I'm generally rambling. There'll be a trapdoor in a moment, and go clonk, 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 and then go, ah! Oh, falling to the alligator! Ah! 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 Oh, it's okay, I'm fine. So, yeah, you know it's true. You know it's true that I'm speaking, you know, that most other people sometimes, you know, they rant about, I can't hear the bloody Atmos. And they keep saying, I can't hear the Atmos. Oh, for God. You can't hear the overheads, alright? You can't hear the sound going on in the overheads. And you've got to keep this in mind, that the other speakers that you got playing in the room, you're going to have audio frequency masking, and it's a little bit, like I say, it's a little bit more than looking at a VU level meter. You've got to look at the frequency response. So you've got to have something like, I could probably come up with something making something like, even though I can get some of the sound monitoring going into the THX sound system, and then that can come up on the RTA, so I could look at it electronically, or I could look at it, redo the wiring on the computer, or I could look at the frequency as it is in the room from the speakers. So I could look at it one or two ways, but to take all the channels and put that into the THX, that would require an extra box connected, so everything's connected in, and then it gets connected into the THX, or I bypass the THX and just have like a monitor. So I've got monitor buttons that I can press, and I'll be able to then look at what's going on the computer in the RTA frequency domain, so I can see what this is all playing at, because everything should be engineered. So how it's done on the dub stage, I doubt it's that special. I doubt a dubbing stage is that special. And as for a cinema, I doubt, you know, because, well, I only have to look around and what they got in the rack, and thinking, am I seeing anything different in these racks that looks kind of unique? You know, and if I thought I saw something, then I thought, I'd say, what's that used for? Because that looks a little bit unusual. My cats have just been fed, and they're acting up. They're just, it's incredible. My cats are taking advantage, and so, yeah, they're getting smarter all the time. They are definitely getting smart and clever. They're not you know. So it's like, what am I going to have to do? Get my cats get my cats go after Dolby Atmos mixers. My cat Bear's gone bonkers. He's just used the letter. Now he's going bonkers. You've just been fed. And I'm betting, Magic, that you pushed in and took the rest of Bear's food. Because you ate your meal real quick. No, you've just had a meal and a half. I know you, Magic. You just had one meal, gobbled it up in less than 60 seconds, and then gobbled up the last half of Bear's meal in less than 30 seconds. No, Magic, no. No, you're not using those pretty eyes to manipulate me. At least I think you're starting to put some muscle fat on there. I think just about there roughly. Starting to put some weight on. Bear, come on, psh, out. Close the door. Go on, out. Close the door. They'll calm down. They'll have a little squabble out there, a little cat fight, and that's okay. They always do that. So, yeah. Turn the fader up so it levels, because those little JB, there's a scene like in Gravity where the capsule comes back to Earth and the parachute's open, and you hear the chutes open a little bit on the front wides. And I was just doing level checking because I'm listening to the music score and everything else, and I'm thinking I'm trying to get a balance and such. Occasionally it had this kind of music going on in the front wide, which was going bleh, 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 bleh. I think, bloody yeah, that's just the mixer moving the bloody slider, the fader up and down, up and down. It is so bloody annoyingly distracting. Oh, can't they keep the fucking thing discreet, playing all the time, and keep the whatever instruments and then gradually do panning, but keeping it active as well as the levels and frequency as well. God, I think some of these Hollywood mixers are so overrated and overpaid. Believe me, they get paid quite a lot of money, and they can't even mix front wide channels properly. Anyway, so I'm just going to have to take it into my own hands. I'm going to have to fit some matrix decoders onto those channels and such, and keep, so I could keep them active and try and figure out exactly how it works on the Storm processor, how the between DSU, DTS Neural X or Aura 3D. Aura 3D is not too bad. It does it okay, but problem with Aura 3D, it takes some sound from the front and then puts crosstalk into the back, and then you just got this annoying bit of dialogue that you can hear crosstalking in the back surrounds, and it's so distracting. So Aura 3D, not very good. Dolby DSU, it has the frequency kind of, I think it's got a filter, so it's not got much bass on it, so it's probably got a bit of a filter on the low end. Whereas the DTS Neural X, it seems like it's got a bit of bass in there, so it seems like it doesn't have a filter. But I'm not sure if there's an actual outboard DTS neural decoder that you can buy, and how many, so you can use it for a 2-channel, a 4-2-4 mix going into it. Yeah, left and right input, left total, right total, and then it does a matrix sort of thing. I'm just trying to think what channels are they using. Is it based a little bit on the other past DTS matrix decoders that were on hardware, mostly hardware, sort of receivers many years ago, or maybe an AVP, but a bit more hardware of it, sort of thing, somewhere. Because all this stuff now today is DSP crap, for God's sakes. They can do firmware updates on it, so it's all DSP crap. So I would listen between those two sort of things to see which one, you know, what channel are they using? Are they using some part of the surround channel? Could be the side surround, or the rear back surround of the decoder. It could be, you know, because I can tell with these decoders, it sounds like they're using one of the side surround outputs on a matrix decoder, like say maybe like a ProLogic 2X. And if anyone's familiar with the operation of a ProLogic 2X, and if you listen to the side surround signal, when you put a 424 matrix, left total, right total into it only, and you listen to it, it makes a fake stereo surrounds out of the mono discrete, but you can hear how it exactly sounds versus a ProLogic. Then you turn those sides ones off, and then you listen to the rear back ones, and then you hear a slightly difference in, you know, something similar but a little bit of difference because of the way it's got filtering, or the way it's trying to reject certain crosstalk until a certain signal comes and steers around, and then yes, it says, right, yes, this signal belongs now here, and this one doesn't. So that's what I'm thinking is going on with all this, you know. They're using, that's why the overhead surrounds don't move around up and down along this way, one by one. You only get stereo that only moves side to side from the whole lot. So it's the whole cluster, and it's just the sound moving side to side with an upmix. If you or the matrix decoder itself, if it's Dolby Atmos, then the sound can move side to side. It can come from that speaker, or it move along, or it go from there and cross over to this side. It'll do that. If I wanted, if there was a way, or wanted to, so the sound in matrix to go from one speaker to the other, yeah. Oh, I think that's easy peasy to do. I accept the challenge. That'll be a very lot of combination of say a combination of PL2X decoders and figuring out, listening to the signal, and then, you know, it's not going to be perfect, you know, because as it is, as a DSP, you know, upmixer, most people sometimes use it because they don't have any original hardware ProLogic decoders anymore. They sold them. They think it's rubbish, old technology, and they got Star Wars originals on Laserdisc, and yet you're not playing it for a proper ProLogic decoder. that the film was originally mixed and played back on. And of course the 70mm mag, 6-track mag, is a totally different ball game, because that doesn't go through actual decodering. That's just tracks going through the penthouse into the cinema process, going through Dolby noise reduction, preamp, and EQ, and so forth, blah blah blah. The same as a matrix, same as an optical soundtrack. It's got to go through the same B chain signal path on the CP200. But you know, anyway, I'm rambling. If you don't you know, for anyone that gets the idea, gets the idea. If for anyone that doesn't get or understands, then don't ask me. Go and keep bloody listening. And then you might get it. Or you may not care. I wish... No, I don't wish. Oh, God. If I had not gone and seen that bloody movie Platoon at the cinema back in 1980, 87, 88, I think, when it was playing in the UK, I wouldn't have been into this sort of hobby. I wouldn't have been into it. I would. Chances are, I wouldn't have gotten the what do you call it? The hooked onto it, sort of thing. Yeah, I was noticing before then, sort of, but I was then become more aware, and suddenly found myself moving around and thinking, what the bloody hell's a helicopter doing in the auditorium? And hearing this sound, it sounded like I could see what's going on the screen. And I think I was sat in the middle stools of the Gaumont, or the Odeon, screen number 2 downtown, when it was still an original number 2 screen. And it had sidewall speakers, rear ones, and overhead speakers, or the same sound signal coming from the processor, but it was literally everywhere. So it played with a kind of uniform sound, but it gave a nice hass of it. And I was kind of thinking, what the bloody hell's a helicopter doing in this auditorium? Because it sounded acoustically very realistic. Not that you feel all this, you know, you hear it like we hear a helicopter outside and we just hear the sound. We don't feel the bass of it. It's rotor blade, whether it's Chinooks or bloody stupid Black Hawk Down. No, bullshit. That's total movie bullshit. Or maybe, I don't want to slag off THX. I mean, it makes a big difference, but you generally just don't. When you got a helicopter up there, you don't feel the bass waves hitting on your chest. That's total bullshit. Unless you go outdoors and hold a piece of cardboard in your hands, and then you'll feel the sound waves coming against it like a diaphragm. Or if it's outside and you put your hand on the inside of the window, yeah, and you feel the sound. It's the same with a thunderstorm. You got to understand the physics of a thunderstorm is very widespread. It's bigger than your bloody sub-bass speaker, your 32 or your 100-inch sub, whatever it bloody is, and you get a thunderstorm, boom, but it doesn't slam you in the chest. Even if you're outside, you don't feel it that way. It would have to be something a very unique type of thunder to excite so much particles of the air for you to suddenly, like, everyone goes, whoa, bloody, did you feel that? I felt that, bloody hell, as well as you heard it. But it doesn't, at the end of the day, it's not that stupid SPL level that you get in a home theatre, really. That is such bullshit, and it doesn't even sound natural. And I've seen some video where I'm trying to get my sub-bass to because I want a load of sub-bass speakers. I want it to sound natural. Are you kidding? Oh dear. I think I'm going to do another video later. I'm going to pick a few films that got thunderstorms in it, and I'm going to play them at very low key. Because I've been to the best THX cinemas on the planet, the 8th best, High Wycombe, and feeling the soundtrack there with Arachnophobia compared to the Odeon downtown, it was night and day. It was like, wow, is this what I've been missing on the soundtrack? Bass that would put a RTJ or a JTR or an SVS or even those Ascendo speakers, it would put it in the dust. I felt all that over 30 years ago. So it's just down to engineering and how things are fitted in an auditorium and then making it work. And it worked very well, very, very, very well. I mean, talk about bass pressing against your body and moving across your body and thinking, what the bloody hell, you know? Where's this coming from? So I'm sure they had an invisible man pressing their hands on your body. Yeah, so it's a bit of a rant, this video. It's been pretty bit long. But I'm just trying to sort of like just say how it is, you know. And I'm just trying to say, wake up everybody. Stop calling your speakers Atmos speakers, for crying out loud, for Pete's sakes. And yeah, try and get some VU level meters, but even if you can get some, even if they're, I wouldn't really recommend the VU needle ones. They got to be LED type. But usually you ain't going to find those cheap, even on eBay. You're not going to find them cheap. But I would avoid, or maybe if you can get one of those, because between me and someone else, I don't think we've yet even thought about maybe looking into, it's probably a capacitor issue, because the way the meters move, they don't have the same characteristics as a proper LED VU meter. It looks more like a bit of a light show effect, and that's not good enough. It's got to be accurate, otherwise you can't really use it now, can you? Specifically for sound mixing, it'd be completely unideal for that use. What else? Yeah, a monitor. Well, there's plenty of monitors I think you can grab, and how many channels you need, you know, how many channels you're actually using, or are you doing any processing to matrix it, to enhance it, to take it a little bit beyond the norm of the Dolby Atmos and make it way better, because my version of here is way better than probably what they got up in Soho in London at that little teeny little room they got. My overhead's way better, plus the extra channel, and of course, like I say, if you listen carefully to the overheads, sometimes you hear, or if you got the right decoder, you'll see that there's an actual negative, there's another signal here that's very strong, and it's a negative polarity in the signal, and all they do is they mix that onto the tracks and encode it, its polarity and such, and it would have to be then picked up by a decoder. Otherwise you still hear it, but it's kind of mushy or whooshy sort of, you know. It's like something, not too sure, you know. Oh wow, Titanic's growling. It's growling. Yeah, it's really growled loud down in SRD, as far as I can remember. It really growled loud on, and it growls loud on my speakers, but because I put it on the other channels behind the screen, the big JBL cinema speakers, it would be thunderous. But it shouldn't be like that, should it? Well, don't forget, you're on the Titanic, right? So anything that's going to be happening somewhere, you're going to feel it, not just in your body. You'll feel it because it's mostly your feet are coupled to that ship. And so if someone was below a deck hammering on something, you're going to feel it. You're going to hear it and feel it. Tapping against, you'll feel the rhythm, because it's metal, it's steel, the ship. So you're going to feel vibrations, sound transmissions. So yeah, it's not just feeling it in your, you know, you should feel it in the floor. Otherwise, when you say, "Oh, I got my sub bass speakers, but I don't like bass shakers. I think they're a gimmick. I think they're rubbish. They're useless." No, they're not. It's big ass sub bass speakers are completely useless. What, you never tried putting a sine wave signal in, okay, and trying to play it so it's realistic sounding, yeah, natural sounding? But what's the point of buying a sub that's going to cost $10,000, $20,000? Cuckoo. And it's the same as any other speaker. It's a moving magnet. It's the principles are still the same. And yet you should be designing something so the room has got to be specifically redesigned, and the speakers designed fitting into that design. So then if you can get a bit of mechanical vibration from the speaker, so you localize its position, but you can also feel a mechanical vibration, just the same way as a car, because it'd be like decoupling the engine away from a motor car, kind of like one of those things in the Phantom Menace where he's got these little rod things. We've got these big engines, look like bloody jet engines, aren't they, on the left and right side, and these wires connecting and these other little things connecting. You would get a very, I would imagine, airflow turbulent sort of thing from that sort of thing, plus a mechanical vibration. That would be going through anything that's connected. You're going to get a mechanical vibration. But spending 20,000, 30,000 on big ass subs really is cuckoo. You do pretty well with some JBLs for less money on eBay. You get the same effect if you work it out. I saw a pretty ingenious one where someone literally fitted an 18-inch, modified a seat or modified a chair so that the flipping thing was fitted below the seat cushion, you know, so you sit on the seat and the thing was just literally, and it was just doing ridiculous amount of and wow, that's pretty cheap. And funny enough, I tried that idea myself probably back in the middle 1990s, the mid 90s. There was a sofa sort of thing, and I had these other spare speakers, and I just stuffed them underneath this sofa. My dad sat on it and was thinking, what the bloody hell you got under this seat? What, this vibrates, moving. But it wasn't that brilliant, but you know, if I had a little bit more time, I could have probably made a way to, you know, and it would have been more effective, because it was just a little speaker that was open at the back, and I just stuffed it underneath the sofa, underneath the springs. So you got the springs up here, and then you got the seat cushion, the sofa cushion, and it was just underneath that. Of course, when sat down, you kind of, the springs kind of went down and kind of touched the speaker box sort of thing. But yeah, done more or less the same thing back in the middle 90s. I was thinking of getting some little smaller bass transducers and fitting them to the seat, because someone else has also taken bass transducers, little bass ones, and completely remodified the whole thing. So then the whole thing couples to the seat, and it gives the same result. Otherwise, big ass subs, you play a sine wave tone, say at 20 hertz, is it literally shaking the whole freaking room? I mean vibrating the whole room at 20 hertz at a very low voltage level. So you get a voltmeter out, connect the voltmeter on there, have a bass shaker, have that connected to your seating, yeah, with another voltmeter. So you've got 2 voltmeters, one to look at the sub bass or the amplifier power going to that sub bass, one to the amplifier that's going to the bass shaker. Okay, because the leads would be coupled to the connected to the things in the room pretty nearby, and then you play the sine wave, and then you're going to feel that sine wave in the seat light. Like you take your fist like that, because I'm in this cinema seat, I feel quite a bit of vibration. Now if I stand up, I feel less. I still feel a vibration, but I feel less. The only reason is because when I do that, the seat is shimmering as well, so there's extra vibration going on there, sort of thing. And so for people that are like a little bit cynical about bass shakers and thinking, because at the end of the day, I can tell it's their ego. And there was this guy ranting on YouTube, I think it was last night or a couple of nights ago, on a video, on a live video, and he was ranting that he doesn't like bass shakers and all that because he doesn't understand. And he's been doing home theatres for 30 years and he doesn't understand the physics, that if you're going to put a sub-bass speaker in a room, it's got to be able to do it at the very lowest voltage level. If it can't, then it's completely useless. Mine are exactly the same in cinemas. They got to push them so bloody hard and loud until you bloody notice it. Otherwise, it's pretty much a waste of voltage power, yeah? Because you think, if there's a way to saving electrical power, because you'll be running those amplifiers a little bit more, and if you can do it less, yeah, the electrical bill will be a little bit less. It's like when you switch a kettle on, it's pulling kilowatts, literally. The same with a microwave oven, depending on what setting you put it on, it's pulling kilowatts. But a home entertainment system, it's not even pulling that. You have to push those amplifiers at ridiculous level, where it will be just way too, it'll be deafening. It would wreck your hearing, especially on the indoors. If it's outdoors, it's pushing a lot because it's got to push air, because there's no wall, there's no ceiling, there's no wall boundaries. It's completely outside, and you know, it's got to push it to a certain limit until it's only heard at a certain limit, you know, that, you know, so they'll set things up so they, oh yeah, but we'll keep it, you know, they'll be able to monitor and keep it so it's going to be within a certain range. But you can still hear it travelling over a mile or 2 miles, a concert, depending on the geography of the outside. If they're built hills and valleys and dips and peaks, houses and that, and you get sound pinging with reflections. And sometimes I thought there was a loud PA concert going on across the road. It wasn't, because I'm up slightly high and I'm just about, you know, clearing the tops of those roofs over the other side. And no, it was about a quarter of a mile away. And then I thought I'd just go on a walk. And then what I hear then is the sound. I think I hear the sound of the concert. But that's mostly coming from their PA horns at the concert, because those PA horns are mounted up so high and slightly angled down at the audience, and then the sound's coming off of that and then travelling over a great distance and then zigzagging and pinging off the houses on the walls, and it just completely says, I think it's coming from that house over there. And then you walk in and no, it's that one there. But it's not. And so I bumbled into someone. I said, can you hear that? Do you know where that's coming from? And he said, yeah, it's the What's It concert. Where's that then? Oh, it's about a quarter of a mile that way. Oh, I thought, oh, sorry, I'm walking back home. I'm not walking all that way. Because you've got to get a ticket in any case to get in. So it's an outdoor concert, see? So even though me, with pretty good listening, even fooled me, but I won't fall for that again, because I know it's coming from, you know, but it does seem like it is coming from across the road, from maybe about 300 foot away. But it's not, it's about a quarter of a mile. Anyway, just turn on some of the other screen speakers.
Anyone else then?
Come on, sir. Come on.
Anyone else?
Do hurry. Hurry along.
Stand by the post.
Oh, God hell, what hell?
Fire! Sir! Sir, you can't come through yet! Sir, you can't come through!
I don't usually use the upmixer on the because usually I will play this movie straight as 5.1, or may use the just save that, may use the 5-screen matrix there, or I might use the 5-screen matrixing on the which should be DR, any one of the yeah, anything except the auro, because that just makes a bloody sounding mess.
Keep it steady.
Give it to me.